You have reached the Mount Vernon District Station of the Fairfax County Police Department. If you have an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Para escuchar las opciones en español, presiona el 1. Please listen closely. Our menu options have changed. Note, officers are not dispatched from this location. For the station directive our services, please choose from the following menu. If you know your party's extension, press 9. To have an officer dispatched to your location or to file a police report, press 2. For the criminal investigation section, press 3. For the crime prevention office, press 4. For the neighborhood patrol unit, press 5. For the crime analyst, press 6. For the domestic violence detective, press 7. For information on fingerprinting, obtaining police reports, criminal record checks, or warrants, please visit us on the web at www.fairfaxcounty.gov/police or press 8. To speak to the Mount Vernon District Station Police Communications Assistant, press 0.
Mount Vernon, TCA Crocker, how can I help you?
Hi, yes, I'm trying to reach Lieutenant FORREST.
Okay, he is out on the street at the moment. Can I get your name and phone number, and I'll send him a message to have him call you as soon as possible?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I've been trying to call to reach him, and then the previous officer that picked up said that he would be here Friday, and I could call Friday, and that would be a good time to call. But okay,
yeah, it's just that he's not on the street all the time. They don't stay here in the station.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, it would probably be better if he calls me. So my name is Lovely. It's Luvleey. Yes, and I was Officer Pleva referred me to him. He should know that I'm calling. It was something that happened last week. He should know. He should be aware of what I'm calling him for.
Okay, not a problem. As soon as we get off the phone, I'll send him a message and get him to call you back as soon as I can, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Sheesh. I'm ever going to talk to this guy? Well, we'll wait and see when he calls me back, folks. Stay tuned. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, this is Lieutenant Forrest from Fairfax County Police Department.
Hi.
Looking for, you guys, Lovely?
Yeah, this is she. I just picked it up. I'm not sure what happened. I think maybe we just got like disconnected or something.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of echoey noises, and then sounded like 2 or 3 people kind of...
Oh, yeah. I was watching TV. I'm sorry. Can you hear me clearly now, though?
Sure.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate you calling me back, first of all. Thank you. I was trying to, get in touch with you. I tried to call you a few days ago, but they said that you were out. You weren't be back until Friday, and then, I know you were, out, so I know it's kind of hard to, get in touch with you and everything, so I'm sure you're pretty busy.
I had Wednesday, Thursday off, so...
Okay, yeah, I understand. Well, I appreciate you calling me back. I was just calling. I'm not sure. You're probably aware, last week, Officer Pleva, I spoke to him, and he said that I guess informed you that I would be calling you. He said it would be best to call you. And I just wanted to ask and have a kind of a small, short conversation. I don't want to keep you too long because I know that you're busy and everything. But last week, I went to the post office. I don't know if you're familiar with audits. First Amendment audits. Are you familiar with them? Okay. Well, I went to the post office and basically, long story short, so you for journalism and for, press news media and for reviews, for First Amendment audits, you kind of go in and you film, use your camera, you don't disturb anyone, and you just buy whatever you're trying to buy from the post office and do a review on it. So that being said, long story short, I did such. And it escalated to the point where they called the police. And I know that you all don't really have post office jurisdiction. That's really like a postal inspector thing. But the question I wanted to ask you, why he referred me to you, because he told me it would be best to ask you, was because it escalated to the point where the officers, Officer Pleva, Officer Snipe, and Officer Hall, were were going to issue and write me a trespass. And they were also, I never asked them if they illegally detained me, but they were detaining me. I just didn't ask them. But my question to you is because when I asked them if what I was doing it was legal, which I know it is, they told me that, to ask you because you referred them that I had to leave the property and that I was trespassing. So my question really is, like, can you like explain to me the protocol of such, or if you're familiar with the post office poster 7 of how you're able to film and photograph in public places?
Yeah, I don't know their policy on that. I know that there's restrictions on filming inside of government buildings, the same as there's restrictions for your Second Amendment right. You can't bring a gun into that building. So they can restrict your rights. I know that because they do restrict your right to bring your gun into that building. But the post office, it's open to the public, but they can decide if there's somebody they do not want inside that building for whatever reason they come up with. And they can then ask that person to leave. That person does have to leave. If the person refuses to leave, that would constitute trespassing.
Right.
So you have the right as the manager, management, to tell you to leave. They don't even have to tell you legally. They don't even have to tell you a reason why. They can just say, I want you out of the building. But if they ask you to leave, you do have to leave. So,
but they would have to. There does have to be a reason why, because it is public. No. It'd be like trespassing from public property, right?
No, it's the same thing as this. And if I have a business, it's private property, but it's open to the public. But I still get to pick and choose who I want inside my business. Just the same as I get to pick and choose who I want on my property at home. So just because it's a government building doesn't mean that someone can't be asked to leave and they don't really have to give you legally. They don't have to give you any reason for why. If you can show patterns that they're only doing it to certain people, like people who only have purple hair, then you can do some sort of civil rights violation under that.
Right.
If it's a certain type of people, but they really don't have to even justify a reason to you. They just have to tell you to leave.
Well, wouldn't that be like? Well, I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I guess I'm just not understanding. So I assume that they would have to give me a reason, right? Or that would be denying me service, because I was being denied service when I was trying to get service, like, so then they would be denying me service, and then them asking me to relieve. They never gave me a reason at all. They called the police. So
right. They don't have to provide you with a reason. They just have to tell you to leave, and it's not really denying you service. That's not, they can deny that service to somebody if they have whatever reason they want. If it's, like I said, if someone's being, disruptive, or if they're just being rude, or they can just say leave, and you have to leave.
And even if I wasn't doing any of that, like I just walked in normally and I didn't say anything, I just walked right in, and then they automatically were like, you can't do this, I need you to leave.
Yes, they can do that. They control that property. They are the authority of that property. They can say who's allowed to be on it or not by law.
Okay,
so if you disagree with them, then you can always take it up with their bosses, or go
of course,
to the Postmaster General, or
right.
Then your rights have been violated. You can sue them.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is what I'm working with. I just wanted to clarify with you, like, what I'm saying, first, because you know what I mean. I just want to make sure, because while I'm going through the channels, I want to get like clarity of like everything, so I make sure I'm doing it properly. But it also says in there, because I know you all aren't familiar with like their because like I said, I know that's like postal inspector jurisdiction, but like it does say that I'm allowed to film in there. It says it on their poster 7. So like I'm just trying to understand how that works legally. Like, you know what I mean, when you guys ask, when there's no reason to ask to leave, and then how you all get involved, where the point where it's like the trespass comes in, because you all have to issue a trespass if there's been a crime committed, and there was no crime committed. So I wasn't understand, even though the trespass wasn't issued, I'm just trying to understand why.
So you don't have to issue a trespass warning ahead of time. If I show up if someone calls me there and they have dominion and control over that piece of property, and they're telling somebody else to leave that property, and that person refuses to do so, especially in my presence, that constitutes trespassing. There doesn't have to be a warning. There doesn't have to be a written notice. There doesn't have to be anything else. The fact that you are being told to somebody who has the authority of that property leave, and you refuse to leave, then you're trespassing. Imagine the same thing as if you're sitting in your house and someone walks in and sits down at your dining room table, and you say leave, and they go no. So you call the cops and you're like, hey, this guy's got to leave.
Right, which I understand.
Like, here's your trespassing piece of piece of paper, and we're taking off. If she calls us back, we're going to arrest you. No, the fact that you're refusing to leave is the actual trespass.
Okay, so you don't actually give like a form or anything. You just it's just because this person asked, like at the post office, you don't have to like issue it. It's because they're the post office, they asked, so you just like verbally say it.
They have the authority to ban people from the property because they're the management, or they're a lessee, a manager, or an appointed person of authority for that building. So just like a business, you can have anybody from the cashier to the kid at stock shelves to Giant Food to go ahead and tell you to leave, and you have to leave. It doesn't have to be a manager or anybody else. They have that authority because they work there.
Okay, and even though they do it incorrectly, but that would be nothing you could do it. That would be me having to go like up through the channels or whatever. Even though they were like doing it wrong, like it was no reason because I was allowed to do what I'm doing. That's nothing that you could do. That would just be me having to go up the channels.
Correct. That's like I said, if somebody who has dominion and control over that property is telling another person to leave, they have to leave.
Okay.
So, and if they refuse to, especially when it's in my presence, because that's basically, we would always tell whoever has that authority on that property, well, you need to tell them in our presence that they have to leave. And then we usually say, well, you have to leave, because if you don't, you're going to be arrested. And if the person's still like, nope, they have to they're going to be arrested. So if you wanted to do a trespass banning notice,
right,
basically that would be, we get there, you're standing there, the employee walks up and says, you need to leave my property. And you go, okay, and you step outside, and the employee says, we want her banned from ever coming back here again. Then we would, if they don't have their own form, we would have a form we fill out, says, here you are, you're banned from this property, this is the person who's banned you, this is the property address, and then we give one to you, one to them, in case you return and they want to get a warrant, and then off you go.
Okay, so
that's a trespass warning. And even if we get there and you're already outside of the property, and they say, I want that person banned from my property, then they have the ability to ban people from returning.
Okay, and
because you can take it up the chain and
right,
try to, argue it or say it's unfair.
I just thought that I just assumed that you all could only ban and trespass if there was a crime, right? That's the only reason for trespass, right? If there's a crime committed.
No, trespassing is you're on someone's property and you're refusing to leave.
Right, but on public property, on government property,
that is a crime.
Right.
Right, but the park is public property too. But if you're someone from the park authority, or if it's a Fairfax County park and you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing in the park, or if someone from the park authority calls us up and says, I just don't want this person on the property, then they can be banned. They can be trespassed from the property. Like I said, you can. How
though? How can anybody just call and say that? How can anybody just call and be like, oh, I want them off, and then ban them from public property?
Because that person has that dominion and control over that property as either property manager or a county employee that's in charge of that property. So yeah, like I said, you can go up the chain.
Right. So they could just like discriminate. They could just discriminate against someone and do that.
Well, it's not discrimination unless, like I said, you can show there's a pattern. If it's everybody that has purple hair, now you're showing the pattern, correct?
Well, I'm just
If it's everybody that shows up at a place that's white and they keep getting told they have to leave, and you can show that every white person that shows up here is not allowed to be here, then you're showing a pattern of discrimination. So
what if
because it's just one person,
right?
It's like so that's what I'm saying is you'd have to show patterns. And stuff like that. But like I said, the best thing is to comply and then take your grievance.
Right, of course. That's what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I did. That's why I'm trying to ask questions first. I don't want to be arrested.
No, trust me, we don't want to do it either.
Yeah.
There's paperwork and it takes you all there's all kind of stuff.
Right. Okay, so I guess, so just so I understand also, so if I was going through the park and it was public, and if somebody was working at the park and they just saw me, and let's just say they never gave me a reason, and I wasn't doing anything wrong, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, I was just walking around or whatever, but they just said, I want this person to leave, and that could be issued, that could go through.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, I just wanted to say.
Control over that property.
Okay, I understand.
I'm just the person who goes there to say, hey, they want you off the property, you need to leave. And if you say no, and you're refusing to leave, then you're violating the law.
Okay, I understand.
It's not. We don't have a dog in those fights. It's just
right.
If someone refuses to do something, You know.
Okay.
They're lawfully told to do something.
And that's because of someone's own dominion property. So what about like regular trespassing? Like how do you all like where do you all like so what is the trespassing rule like protocol where you all like would normally trespass? Like you
there's a bunch of things. There's like give you an idea if a apartment complex signs a piece of paper that says they give the police the authority to ban people from their property. If I'm let's say because that apartment complex is having problems with crime or for whatever reason they want, and if I show up and I'm like, hi, do you live here? And you say no, and like, are you visiting any friends? No. Well, then you can't be on this property. The apartment complex does not want you here unless you're a resident or a guest of a resident. So you have to leave.
Okay.
If the person says no, they can be arrested for trespassing.
Okay.
We can also issue the trespass notice if you go inside of a park or after dark, or if you're on school property after dark. Both of those constitute trespassing. So you can be arrested for trespassing because you're hanging out in the park after dark.
Okay.
Just like I said, all school property too. People who use the school property parking lot for romantic twist.
Right.
But it's trespassing. You can't be on the. Like I said, it's not even. It's one of the other ones for the law. It's county property, or in both those instances, and I'm a representative of the county, so I have that authority. And like I said, any business can give that authority to the police. Like a shopping center can say, "Hey, here, we're signing a letter to enforce." It just says we're authorizing the police department to ban people upon our behalf.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Apartment complexes do it a lot because you have people that come onto the property to do bad things.
Right.
They try to keep the bad people away, and if someone live there and you're a guest, then they. And normally in those we'd say you're gonna have to leave, but here you get banned from the property if you come back.
Right.
You've definitely been given a warning, but if they refuse to leave in those instances. So and as I've said to a bunch of people before, I don't write the law. I don't pass it into legislation.
Of course.
I don't even have to agree, and I don't even have to agree with every law. The simple thing is I'm tasked with enforcing it.
Yeah, right. So from what I'm understanding, basically, is that like people just call the police even though they don't really know like what the police is for. They're just calling you, like even though that the police like the case wouldn't be necessary to call the police. Like they just call them. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think the police are considered the solution for a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. Even though they don't have to be. Like, yeah, even though it doesn't have to be. That's what it sounds like a little bit. Like, because now I have to go through these channels of talking to, like, the postal inspector and, like, everything, even though, like, you know, like, you didn't even have to get involved at all, really.
Right. So, the whole thing is, like, and at least here in Fairfax County, we had a policy for the longest time of if someone requested that they have an officer show up, regardless of what it is, they're going to have an officer show up. Well, we've curbed a little with all the COVID stuff going on.
Right.
But, I mean, over my 20 years in this department, I've gone to calls for the person in this apartment wants to have a police report because the cockroaches from the other apartment are coming into their place.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's not a police matter.
Exactly.
But that's the stuff you get called for.
Right.
The police get called for every single type of event. It's almost like they're the catch-all. Try to fix her, which couldn't be our job. It actually should be, we should get a lot of these social things out of our
Right, I agree. Like I was telling Officer Pleva when he was talking to me, I was like, you're not, hopefully we're going to get all this situated because I'm going to, call the postal inspector. I'm going to talk to him and everything. But like, I'm like, you're not feelings police. Y'all aren't feelings police. You know what I mean? You're crime police. Like they were calling off of feelings. And it was just like, I understand how you all feel, but you're wasting police resources and everything, and like they have more important things to do. And literally their poster 7, like it says I can do it. Like it all says I can do it in there. Like I do this, you know what I mean? I check and see if it's okay. And it's like, it was just unfortunate that they called the police. And it was like, it almost just made me see how much people just instantly call the police for everything.
I mean, how about my neighbor's leaves are falling in my yard? How about the neighbor cut the grass and he didn't have the bag on, so the grass clippings are on my sidewalk.
Super petty.
So, like I said, it's strange how we
definitely. And I think that also,
like you said,
Yeah, I think that gives you a bad rep. It gives you a bad perception, because I almost thought like a little bit like, why are the police doing this to me? like are they, like, I almost was like a little bit upset, like, because I know y'all are just doing what you're supposed to, but it almost didn't make sense. But since you just explained it to me like that, I understand now, like, what Officer Pleva was saying, what he was saying, like, oh, we just kind of show up if they ask us. Like, I get it, but then I didn't get it when he was really saying, like, now I get it when the way you're explaining it, like, because I know that's not all the way your jurisdiction, and you do just show up because you're supposed to. You know what I mean? So I guess I wasn't so much getting the trespass part, but then I understand that if they asked you and they're authorities of that building, they can request that and you do enforce that. And then I would have to grieve that later on. So I understand that now. It makes sense.
Yeah. And it's, like I said, the department or county's policy of, if you request an officer, they'll send an officer.
Yeah, right.
That's what we do. And we don't triage them out to say, like, that's not really something the police handle.
Right, of course.
Get there to say, I can't do anything about your neighbor's leaves falling in your yard. I'm sorry you raked yours, but...
Right. So even if you get a call and you know that the person's not doing anything illegal or anything like the leaves, then you're still going to have to show up, even though it's not illegal. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Like, I almost feel like I have to keep telling people, like, look, if you have to call the police, call them. Like, if you don't have to call them, like, don't waste the police time.
And please don't say, could you please send the police?
Yeah.
Because the cockroaches from their neighbor's house.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And it's almost like, they could have just called the postal inspector, like, if anything.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then demand that I write a report about, the cockroaches.
Exactly, right. Yeah, like, I'm sorry that you have...
It's your job. You need to write a report.
Right.
What's my case number? I'm like, we don't... What?
Right, like, this is not... There's no crime here. I don't have to write anything. The only...
Complex. Ask them to get exterminator police.
Right, yeah, like, I don't... That just sounds tedious. That sounds tedious. But you know what? You're a lieutenant, so you've worked your way up through all that paperwork. So you got something for it a little bit.
I'm looking at the end zone.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm glad. Thank you for explaining it to me, because the more that I kind of move through this journey of like journalism and everything, I don't want to get arrested. So like I'm just trying to make sure that I'm doing everything the way that I'm supposed to be doing.
Not a problem at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I appreciate it. I hope you'll probably hear around from me, like through time. You'll probably bump into me or something like that. So just remember my name. My name is Lovely, okay?
Yep.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Lieutenant Forrest. I appreciate you talking to me. Thank you for explaining to me. I appreciate it a lot.
Not a problem. Good luck with everything you do.
Thank you. You too. You have a great evening, okay? Thank you. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's kind of similar to what Officer Pleva was talking about to me when he was saying that, they just respond. Like, whenever somebody has a call or they call them, they just respond. So that makes more sense to me. I almost feel like he didn't fully understand, or maybe because it's like not their jurisdiction, that, maybe because it's not their jurisdiction, there's not really much they can do. They can just, because it's a government building, they can just issue the trespass or verbal trespass, like they say, or just tell you that you're going to be trespassed because it's a government building or a public building, or somebody asked that works at that environment or facility or public park, like he was saying, can just request it. And then you can be trespassed. So like pretty much I can walk through a park. Somebody that works at the park could see that I was just walking around and maybe accidentally a piece of trash fell out of my pocket, and they could have me banned because of that. And even though I didn't know, or even though I didn't feel like I did anything wrong, or I could even just be walking around, and then somebody could just not like the way that I look that works at the park. You know what I mean? And they may not say that's the reason, but they could just say, yeah, this person did this, and they could just say it, and then I could just get trespassed. And that's just unbelievable to me that that's the way that they operate. And so I will have to definitely talk to the postal inspector and the postmaster. I hope he calls me soon, because I know that the lieutenant couldn't really do much. It's more, the post office is more of a postal inspector, it's more of a postal jurisdiction. So he is really going to be the one that's really going to explain to me what I was doing was legal. But as far as Lieutenant Forrest, he doesn't really, they just answer every call, pretty much is what he's saying. They answer every call. And if they ask, they'll trespass you, period. That's what the police do for government buildings. If somebody works there, if they ask, or if a cashier, if they ask, and you say no, they'll trespass you. So just know that if you are any building or public property or anything, if anybody asks you to leave and you say no, it's an automatic trespass if they call the police. So, and then you can grieve that if you know that they're illegally trespass you, not the police, but because they're just issuing the order, but the people or the building or the business that trespass you. So they're saying they don't have to have a reason. They don't have to tell me the reason. But legally, if I sue them, they would have to have a reason. And then that's when it would go up in the channels of, the court system and things like that. So we're going to find out more. I appreciate Lieutenant Forrest for giving me that information. Not a lot, but, it was just clarification, really. So, yeah, I appreciate it. And we're going to stay tuned, and we're going to wait and see what the postal inspector says when he gets back to me, when I ask him a little bit more detail about it, about what I was doing and filming in there, and like if I'm allowed to film in there. So we'll see how it goes. But Lieutenant Forrest was not familiar with audits. Stay tuned, and thanks for holding it down.